You might think pulling an all-nighter is just a necessary evil before a big exam. But what if I told you it's sabotaging your memory, dulling your brain like alcohol, and secretly rewiring your emotions in ways that last far beyond sunrise? And caffeine? It may help you feel awake, but it's playing tricks on your performance. Think about this. You're sitting in a library at 3 a.m., surrounded by half-empty coffee cups, your notes in chaos. You feel productive, even heroic. But beneath the surface, your brain is entering crisis mode. You're not building knowledge, you're breaking down your ability to think, focus, and remember. What you feel as determination might actually be biological panic. Today, we're diving into the science of sleep deprivation and the real cost of skipping shut-eye. From microsleeps that hijack your brain to the way caffeine backfires at the worst moment, this is the side of studying no one talks about but everyone needs to hear. Sleep is more than just rest. It's a biochemical orchestra conducted by our circadian rhythm, our body's internal clock. Governed by light and darkness, this rhythm regulates not only sleep-wake cycles, but also temperature, hunger, hormone release, and even mood. At the center of the system is the suprachiasmatic nucleus, a tiny region in the brain's hypothalamus that acts like your biological conductor. It receives input directly from the eyes, especially sensitive to blue light, and uses this data to synchronize bodily functions with the external world. One of its key instructions? When to release melatonin. Melatonin, often called the hormone of darkness, begins to rise in the evening as natural light fades. It cues your body to wind down, slow metabolism, and prepare for sleep. But when you disrupt this natural rhythm, say, with a midnight cramming session under LED lights, you throw the entire system out of sync. Your body is wired to respond to natural cues. As daylight fades, your brain starts producing melatonin, signaling that it's time to rest. But when you flood your eyes with artificial light from screens, lamps, or the glow of your phone, you suppress melatonin production. You're literally telling your brain it's daytime at midnight. No wonder sleep feels impossible. But it goes deeper. During sleep, especially in REM and slow-wave stages, your brain consolidates memories, clears out neural waste, and strengthens synaptic connections. These processes are essential for learning. Without them, it's like stuffing files into a cabinet without labeling or organizing them. You may have studied, but the data hasn't been sorted. And it's not just melatonin. Sleep also regulates cortisol levels, balances insulin sensitivity, and supports immune function. So, by skipping sleep, you're not only hurting your academic performance, you're affecting your entire body's ability to recover, adapt, and function. In short, sleep is the foundation, not an add-on, not a luxury. Without it, every system, mental, emotional, and physical, starts to fray. Missing one night of sleep sets off alarm bells in your body. Cognitive functions decline, your reaction times slow down, and emotional control goes haywire. Within just 16 hours of being awake, your brain starts to show signs of fatigue. By 24 hours, the deterioration is measurable. Research shows that pulling an all-nighter impairs your memory, attention, and decision-making. One study equated 24 hours of sleep deprivation to having a blood alcohol content of 0.10%, well above the legal driving limit. It's the cognitive equivalent of being drunk. Your brain's frontal lobe, the CEO of logical thinking, starts underperforming. This is the part of your brain responsible for planning, reasoning, and focusing. When it's compromised, tasks that usually feel simple, like writing a coherent essay or doing mental math, suddenly feel insurmountable. You second-guess yourself, make careless errors, and struggle to connect ideas. Meanwhile, the amygdala, your emotions center, goes into overdrive. Without enough sleep, the balance between rational thinking and emotional control gets completely thrown off. The result? You're more likely to snap, panic, or break down during that critical exam. Things that wouldn't normally faze you, like a tough question or a strict invigilator, can feel overwhelmingly stressful. But it's not just your brain. Physiologically, your body interprets sleep deprivation as a stressor. Cortisol, the stress hormone, spikes, leading to elevated heart rate and blood pressure. Your metabolism slows, glucose regulation falters, and your immune system's white blood cell count drops. You're not just tired, your body is entering a defensive state as if bracing for a threat. In essence, you forced your body into fight or flight mode. Except there's no predator, just a blank exam sheet and a ticking clock. What feels like dedication is, in reality, physical and cognitive self-sabotage. And your body knows it. Here's where it gets scary. Sleep-deprived brains experience something called microsleeps. These are brief, uncontrollable lapses in consciousness, lasting anywhere from 1 to 10 seconds. During these moments, the brain literally powers down in localized regions without your awareness or consent. You're technically awake, but parts of your brain are offline. It's like your mind hits pause and you miss a few frames of reality. Imagine this. You're staring at your notes, eyes moving across the page, but nothing registers. Then you blink and suddenly realize you haven't absorbed a single word for the last minute. That's a microsleep. It's not just distraction, it's a neurological reset your brain forces on you to prevent catastrophic failure. Microsleeps usually target the parts of your brain responsible for attention and motor control. So you might drop your pen, misread a question, or hit the wrong key in a test without understanding why. In high-pressure environments, this becomes incredibly risky. During an exam, it could mean blanking out on a crucial answer. Behind the wheel, it could be deadly. Even more terrifying, you often don't realize microsleeps are happening until after they've passed. One moment, you're mid-sentence. The next, your pen trails off. Your head dips forward. You come to, confused, disoriented. It's not clumsiness. It's your brain pulling the emergency brake. And the more you resist sleep, the more frequent and intense microsleeps become. Caffeine may delay them temporarily, but it can't stop the underlying neural exhaustion. Eventually, the brain overrides all efforts to stay awake. Microsleeps are a warning sign and SOS from your nervous system. If you're experiencing them while studying, it's not a badge of honor. It's your brain crying out, "You need to rest, now." Ignoring that cry doesn't make you strong. It makes you vulnerable to failure, to mistakes, and to moments you can't afford to lose. Caffeine is the go-to crutch, but while it masks fatigue, it doesn't fix your cognitive decline. Caffeine blocks adenosine, a sleep-inducing chemical, from binding to receptors in your brain. This helps you feel more awake, but your mental clarity still suffers. And here's the kicker. High caffeine intake can increase anxiety and jitteriness, which further disrupts focus and memory. Even worse, caffeine has a half-life of up to 6 hours. That late-night coffee? It's still in your system at exam time, making your heart race while your thoughts stumble. And there's a tipping point. Too much caffeine too late creates a vicious cycle. You can't sleep, so you drink more, which makes it harder to sleep later. The very thing you used to power through your night ends up derailing your recovery. Sleep and emotions are deeply connected. When you sleep, your brain isn't just resting, it's processing. It's filing away memories, diffusing emotional tension, and restoring balance to your nervous system. But without that reset, things go haywire. The prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for judgment, impulse control, and rational thought, begins to lose control. It's like a tired parent trying to manage a tantrum-prone toddler. That toddler is your amygdala, the emotional epicenter of the brain. Without rest, the prefrontal cortex can't regulate the amygdala, and as a result, emotions become raw, exaggerated, and volatile. You become more reactive, less rational. A 2022 study showed that even one sleepless night can increase emotional reactivity by up to 60%. That's a massive shift. It means the smallest inconvenience, a wrong answer, a confusing question, a stern look from a teacher can feel overwhelming. Your brain can't tell the difference between a minor setback and a serious threat. In this state, everything is amplified. You forget one formula and suddenly feel like a failure. Someone else finishes early and you spiral into self-doubt. Your body floods with stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, pushing you into fight or flight mode, even though you're just sitting at a desk. Sleep-deprived brains are also less capable of empathy. You might misinterpret neutral comments as criticism or feel isolated even in a room full of people. Your ability to handle pressure is compromised because your emotional regulation systems are offline. Your brain becomes hypersensitive. Negative feedback feels like personal failure. A minor setback during your exam can spiral into full-on panic, not because you're weak, but because your brain is in survival mode, scanning for danger where none exists. This emotional turbulence isn't just uncomfortable, it can wreck performance. If your brain is hijacked by fear or frustration, there's less bandwidth left for memory retrieval, reasoning, or focus. You're not just fighting through tiredness, you're battling your own biology. In short, sleep is your emotional shock absorber. Without it, every bump in the road feels like a crash. One all-nighter won't break you, but chronic sleep deprivation adds up. Studies show students with regular sleep schedules have significantly higher GPAs than those with erratic sleep. Chronic sleep loss is linked to anxiety, depression, weakened immune systems, and even diabetes. When your brain doesn't get time to consolidate memory and perform maintenance, it's like never shutting down your laptop. Eventually, it slows down, overheats, and crashes. Long-term, your hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for memory formation, actually begins to shrink. The very tool you rely on for learning is being eroded night by night. The good news, the body is remarkably resilient. After one all-nighter, recovery sleep can restore many lost functions, but it's not instant. One solid night won't fully undo the damage. It can take several nights to get back to optimal performance. And if sleep deprivation is chronic, full recovery can take weeks. The better plan? Avoid the all-nighter entirely. Treat sleep like a tool in your academic arsenal, not an optional luxury. Here's what works better. Spacing out study sessions over several days, using active recall, and prioritizing sleep the night before an exam. Active recall and spaced repetition have been proven to be more effective for long-term memory than cramming. Add in short naps, daylight exposure, and consistent wake times, and you'll actually retain more with less stress. Create a pre-sleep ritual. Dim the lights, avoid screens, and give your brain a clear signal that it's time to wind down. Good grades start the night before, not with caffeine, but with sleep. So next time you're tempted to pull an all-nighter, remember, sleep isn't a luxury, it's a biological necessity. Trading sleep for study might feel productive, but in reality, it's sabotaging your brain when you need it most. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more brain science breakdowns every week.